We all navigate this incredible, often confusing landscape, our own minds and the world around us. Today, we're diving straight into uh, understanding that interplay.
That's right. The material you've shared really shines a light on some powerful inner resources. We're going to explore how mastering our thoughts and feelings can truly empower us, the surprising depth of gratitude and the grounding force of acceptance.
Yeah, three really interconnected ideas.
Totally. And they can really shift how we experience life.
Exactly. We're not just skimming the surface here. Our goal is to pull out the most impactful insights, almost like giving you a cheat sheet for a more fulfilling life without getting bogged down in, self-help cliches.
Yeah, finding those aha
We're
moments.
hunting for those aha moments that just click. And the variety of sources you've given us is fantastic.
It is. We'll be looking at the common threads, synthesizing these different perspectives to really understand how these ideas work together, like in practice.
So our mission is clear. Understand how to really tap into our inner strength, appreciate the here and now, and navigate life's ups and downs with more ease and a stronger sense of resilience.
Okay, let's get into it.
Where to start?
Where better than with gratitude?
Good call. What's fascinating is, as your sources reveal, is that gratitude is much more than just, saying thank you.
Right.
It's a fundamental way of seeing the world, a genuine recognition and appreciation for the good things, big and small.
Mhm.
It's about actively acknowledging the positives.
Right. One of the sources beautifully describes it as a bridge between our inner world and outer world. It's a conscious choice, isn't it? To focus on what we do have instead of constantly chasing what we feel we're lacking.
Mm.
That example about appreciating your current phone instead of always wanting the latest one, that really resonated with me. It's such a simple but powerful shift.
It is. That outward shift in focus has a profound inward effect. As the sources highlight, this practice cultivates a sense of calm and an awareness of how, well, interconnected things are.
And the benefits that stem from this, according to your sources, are quite significant.
Definitely. We're talking about a happier state of mind, less stress, a decrease in sadness. Makes
Mhm.
sense, right? When you're actively noticing the good, it's harder for negativity to really take hold.
Totally.
And then there are our relationships. Simply expressing thanks strengthens those bonds.
Uh-huh. Reinforces connections. And when challenges inevitably arise, gratitude provides a powerful lens shift. The source mentions moving from why me
Oh,
to
can I learn from this? Yeah.
exactly. It's about finding those nuggets of growth even in tough situations.
Which is such a valuable mindset to cultivate. And it's not just mental and emotional. The sources even link gratitude to our physical health. Better sleep, reduced stress levels.
Stronger immune system, even.
Yeah. It really underscores that mind-body connection.
Yeah.
An unruffled mind, as one source put it.
It does. It shows how an inner sense of peace can ripple outwards. But the sources also explore why we sometimes, struggle to maintain this gratitude. What obstacles did they point to?
Well, pride definitely comes up. That feeling that needing or appreciating others somehow makes us, less capable.
Mm,
Fear is another interesting one. This underlying worry that acknowledging good things might somehow make us vulnerable.
right, like you're tempting fate or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then there were just cultural norms. Some cultures don't really push outward appreciation. But I think the most common one is simply our brains being kind of wired to spot problems more readily than blessings, that negativity bias.
That negativity bias is a powerful force. However, it's encouraging that the sources also delve into the neurological impact. What happens in our brains when we practice gratitude?
It's fascinating. Apparently, when we experience and express gratitude, it triggers the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin.
Feel good chemicals.
Exactly. Dopamine is that reward chemical of serotonin contributing to feelings of well-being. So actively practicing gratitude gives our brains these natural boosts.
Right. It's not just a fleeting emotion. It's a practice that can actually help reinforce positive neural pathways over time. And the sources offer some very concrete ways to build this habit. What practical steps stood out?
I was struck by the simplicity. Just taking a few moments each day to write down three things you're grateful for, even something like a good cup of coffee or
Favorite meal, yeah.
totally saying thank you out loud more
Yeah.
intentionally, really tuning into the present moment, noticing birdsong or the warmth of the sun or a kind word.
Paying attention.
Yeah. And I like the idea of actively seeking the lesson in setbacks, that learning attitude.
Making it a routine, a consistent practice, seems key, as highlighted in the material.
Yeah.
Small, regular acknowledgments.
Right, rather than grand gestures. And it's wonderful that gratitude is presented as beneficial for everyone, kids and adults.
Absolutely. The sources mention how it helps children develop empathy and resilience.
And for adults, it brings more balance and joy to our often hectic lives. It really makes you think. Imagine a life where you're genuinely tuned into the good, where small joys are amplified and challenges feel, well, a bit less daunting.
It certainly sets the stage nicely for our next topic,
Yeah.
acceptance. It almost feels like the sources present acceptance as foundational, something that allows gratitude to truly flourish.
That's a great way to frame it. Acceptance, as the sources define it, is about acknowledging and embracing reality exactly as it is, without judgment or that constant internal resistance.
And it's crucial, isn't it, to understand it's not about giving up.
Not at all. It's not resignation. It's a very active form of engagement with what is.
Precisely. It's about meeting life where it is, which, as the sources remind us, is constantly changing, constantly in flux. Acceptance acts as a real steady anchor in those unpredictable currents.
So what are some of the key benefits the sources emphasize?
Well, a big one is reducing our resistance to change, learning to flow with life's rhythms rather than constantly battling against them.
Makes sense.
It also fosters greater emotional balance, allowing us to experience our emotions without being completely, overwhelmed.
Right, processing them.
And on a practical level, it improves decision making by helping us see situations more clearly without the distortion of denial or frustration.
That idea of gaining a full view of the mind is really compelling. By letting go of preconceived notions and fears, acceptance opens us up to new possibilities, fosters creativity, and better problem solving.
Uh-huh. The analogy in sources, a mind clouded by denial versus one rooted in acceptance when facing a challenge, really brings that home.
It does. And it's not just our inner world. The sources also highlight acceptance as the first line of action in human interaction.
How so?
Well, it's about truly seeing others for who they are, which allows for genuine listening, empathy, and building real trust. It makes interactions more authentic.
Yeah, more meaningful. And acceptance doesn't exist in isolation, does it? The sources connect it beautifully with present moment awareness that focus on the here and now, and also with managing our ego.
Letting go of that need to control everything.
Exactly, letting go of control.
Right. When we accept things as they are, our responses tend to be more considered, less impulsive.
Yeah.
And in relationships, it shifts us from blame to seeking understanding.
Which can be transformative. And the connection back to gratitude is so vital. By accepting the present moment, imperfections and all, we open ourselves up to noticing those small joys, those blessings.
Which fosters optimism.
Right, enhances well-being. It's like acceptance clears the path for gratitude to just naturally arise.
So how do we actually start to cultivate this acceptance? The sources give some really actionable steps.
They do. Practical tools are essential. Practicing mindfulness, that non-judgmental observation of thoughts and feelings, is a powerful start.
Just watching them.
Yeah. Actively reframing challenges, trying to see them as opportunities for learning and growth, is another valuable technique.
And the conscious effort to release our grip on things we can't control, focusing our energy on what we can influence.
That's a big one.
And of course, the daily cultivation of gratitude plays a role here too, the sources remind us. Seeking support is also mentioned friends, professionals. We don't have to do it alone.
It's also interesting how the sources point to real-world examples, workplaces, families, even diplomacy. It really underscores its widespread applicability.
Okay, so we've explored gratitude, seeing the good and acceptance, embracing reality. Now, let's dive into how we actually build that inner strength to navigate all this. Empowerment through mastering our mind and emotions.
This is where we really focus internally. The sources beautifully portray the mind as a powerhouse and emotions as powerful motivators, highlighting how profoundly they shape our entire experience.
But, and there's a big but, the sources also caution that this power can easily work against us if we don't learn to understand and manage it.
Right, the cycles of overthinking, anxiety.
Impulsive reactions, anger, despair, these intangible forces can really derail us. They can either empower or overwhelm.
And the analogies the sources use are so effective. The overflowing cup and overactive mind disrupting equilibrium.
Yeah, I like that one.
The idea of emotions as a fire, either warmth in the hearth or a destructive blaze, and the steering wheel symbolizing the need for conscious guidance.
Those analogies really paint a clear picture. So what concrete strategies do the sources offer for gaining greater command over this inner terrain?
Well, mindfulness reappears. Big surprise, right? Observing thoughts and emotions without getting carried away, like watching that river flow by.
Journaling is another practical method, identifying patterns, triggers.
And the simple yet powerful act of breath control, those deep, conscious breaths as an immediate anchor to the present.
Grounding. I also appreciated the emphasis on self-compassion, treating ourselves kindly, especially when we mess up, reducing the inner critic's power.
Yes. And the importance of regular self-reflection, taking time to acknowledge progress and identify areas for growth.
The sources frame this as an ongoing journey, right? A lifelong pursuit.
Exactly. Not about achieving some flawless state, but about consistent effort, growing self-awareness, learning from experience. And setbacks are normal. The key is perseverance.
And to make it tangible, the sources give relatable examples of empowerment in action. The student using mindfulness for anxiety, the professional handling criticism calmly.
The parent regulating during a tantrum. Everyday stuff.
They really underscore that central idea. Empowerment isn't suppression, it's alignment. Aligning thoughts and feelings with our values through consistent effort.
So we've explored these three concepts: gratitude, acceptance, empowerment. How do they really weave together?
It's fascinating how they reinforce each other, isn't it? Acceptance of the present creates space for gratitude. When we're not fighting what is, it's easier to appreciate what we have.
Makes perfect sense. And then empowering ourselves by understanding and managing our minds and emotions that directly supports both acceptance and gratitude.
How so?
Well, with greater inner awareness and control, we're less likely to be swept away by negativity or resistance. It allows acceptance and gratitude to become more natural responses. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, a cycle building on itself. And recalling one of your sources, beyond denial, overcoming denial is itself a form of acceptance, right? A critical first step towards empowered action.
Exactly. Swickar's story was a powerful illustration. Accepting his math challenges was the turning point towards success and resilience.
And the theme of regret from other sources seems like a big obstacle to present gratitude and inner peace. That constant looking back.
Oh, definitely. It can overshadow the good right now. And the sources suggest practicing both acceptance of past choices and consequences, and self-compassion can help navigate regret.
Learning from the past without letting it define our present or future.
Precisely. The sources offered practical strategies: active listening, acknowledging positive choices, cultivating acceptance, learning from mistakes, focusing on the present.
Realistic expectations, strengthening relationships, even Oprah Winfrey turning regrets into catalysts.
It really reinforces that these aren't just abstract ideas, they're tangible tools for navigating being human.
So bringing it back to you, our listener, this journey of understanding your mind, practicing gratitude, embracing acceptance, it's deeply personal. It's not about an overnight fix.
No, it's about incorporating ongoing practices that over time can significantly reshape how you experience the world and strengthen that inner core.
And as the sources consistently emphasize, these aren't one-time solutions. They need consistent attention, conscious effort.
But the potential for growth, inner peace, and a more fulfilling life is truly immense.
So consider this. How might intentionally integrating even just one of these practices, maybe a few mindful moments of gratitude or some deep breaths, when overwhelmed, how might that subtly begin to shift your perspective, your inner landscape?
What small, manageable step might you be willing to take today?
It's an invitation, really.
An invitation to experiment, explore these ideas in your own life, and continue your unique journey of self-discovery.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Until next time.